Hello, interwebs. This is the Crystal Tomb. I am exhausted kcStranger. I do apologize in advance if I take random long pauses while trying to run this session. This week has not been kind to me. However, I am here, and so are my. I didn't think of an adjective in advance. My somnambulant players. So you can tell I have sleep on the mind. And as always, the Crystal Tomb is brought to you by XSplit Broadcaster and by Tractor Blend, neither of whom has financially supported this in any way.
Oh my god, dumb cat.
Last time, the party went to visit a prisoner
Come here,
held in the remote facility of the Adder's Fang by Dragonborn by the name of Ebrin Deepgazer Alendul. In a speech he uttered in his madness, Fallon recognized the name of Imra, who is a pit fiend who's been helping him, interestingly. Summoning Imra with his thoughts, Fallon proceeded to strike a bargain with him. Fallon received the location of the vestiges and advice on how to obtain them. In return for a promise to, within a year and a half, make his way to the ruins of Telius Kar in the remote south of Gabala, and there to destroy 13 seals on a certain door, which couldn't possibly go wrong. After a struggle, Colleen managed to secure the Cape of Delusion, which the prisoner had been wearing, as a matter of fact, by making use of the Amulet of Foresight. After a few preparations, the party then made their way to Tafra's Peak by means of a teleportation spell cast by Tirsa Shadowvale, the guild leader. Making their way into Tavra's lair, they found the gate of his castle shut fast. Eventually, they were let in by Anya, and actually her last name, Anya Hajnal Zerkilet, not that everyone knows that yet. A former traveling companion, and she brought them to Tavrith, the ancient golden dragon. Yeah, it's a dragonborn last name, interestingly. Tavrith relayed a terrible tale. He'd been wounded, perhaps mortally. Anya had suffered her own wound, leaving her nearly unable to form words, and the goddess Innis had been captured. We pick up as Tavrith has just cast a healing, as Fallon has just cast a healing spell on Tavrith, bolstering his strength, and taken Anya's hand. And you all look as Tavrith sighs deeply and opens his eyes to look out at you, and sort of a pregnant pause settles over the room.
Should we do an insight check to make sure Tavrith is good? He's not lying?
If you would like, you may do so.
I would, but I need him.
Check something.
That's pretty insightful.
Okay. Yeah, you look at him. I mean, as you've been listening to this entire tale, Fallon, and let me check actually what his score is for this. Okay, yeah. And Kane too. He and Aaron, all three of you, you're all high enough on this roll. He's sort of tired and strained right now, and you don't sense him trying to hide anything. This seems like, I mean, you can't be 100% sure. It's on the brain, all right? You can't be 100% sure it's a complete account, obviously, but it does seem like a truthful account. Yeah, you took damage last session.
Chewing something.
I figured that much.
It was during the struggle.
I took damage.
It was during the struggle with the illusion Dragonborn. He took 6 psychic damage.
Oh, right, yeah. Illusions. Gotcha. I remember that now.
So I guess we learned that Innis is gone, and what happened to Anya, and that So, and that she was taken. So I guess Fallon's going to ask. I don't have any more. Fallon's going to ask Tavrith if he has any inclination where she's gone.
Okay, do it in character.
So, do you know where Innis has been taken to?
He sort of sighs, his eyes close, and then slowly open again. He looks at Anya, who nods, takes out. Let me see. She actually produces an arrow, and just sort of holds it out. Actually, maybe hands it to you, Fallon. And Tophrith says, "That was the only thing that was left. They, or he or she, dropped it on their way out." Well, actually, no. Hold on. Just a second. I take that back. He says, "This is what Anya came away from her encounter with. It's our only clue." If anyone wants, they can make an intelligence check. Actually, this would just be Colleen, Kane, and Fallon. Or actually, no. Any of you can make an intelligence check as you just sort of study the arrow.
Just raw int.
Yep.
What even requires an intelligence saving throw, though?
Feeble mind.
Okay. So Fallon, as you look at it, you recognize that, I mean, just based on the fletching, the shape of the arrowhead, it's subtly made a little different than arrows that you're used to seeing in Einangrun. Colleen, you look at it and you think you actually recognize where this arrow might have come from. This is, so a while back, when you first got the Scepter of Command, you briefly had a couple prisoners. One of them was a rogue named KyrianSalvar, and you had his stuff. And this looks, I mean, you can't be certain it's him because other people might have similar arrows, but this looks like what he was carrying.
I will relay that information to Fallon and Kane.
That son of a bitch, Gary.
Gary.
Tavrith sort of looks around at you. Do you recognize something?
They wouldn't let me kill that guy. See what happens when you guys stop me from killing people.
It's a arrow from the Ashal. We had a captive, and Colleen identified the arrow as matching that of what the captive said.
I see. Well, that would match the other things that I know. So most likely, if they're responsible, they've taken her out of Einangrun entirely.
How do you even go about capturing and like moving a god against their will? What did they have?
Normally, it wouldn't be possible. However, Innis was severely weakened. They caught everyone off guard. And I imagine, now mind you, it's a very high-level spell, but if I was to imagine how one might do it, I would say an imprisonment spell.
Also, how did they sneak up on you? You knew that we were coming for like forever.
So you would have learned this last time, Kane. He said basically He organized with Crow and a number of other creatures sort of beholden to him an assault on that section of the demon army that was in the woods. So he was actually out fighting, which is how he received the wounds that he currently has. And all this happened sort of while he was out.
Did anybody scold him for this decision?
Not yet.
It's kind of hard to scold a dragon.
So what you're saying is you left the essentially brain dead goddess by herself?
Are you trying to throw stones here, Kane?
Just taking an observation.
It didn't go well, I understand. This was supposed to be a secret lair, and besides, Anya was here the entire time. If it makes you feel any better, we did drive out the demons.
I mean, worth.
Yeah,
you know?
lots.
Like, really worth, obviously.
I don't have to prove myself to you. And he turns around and hacks up another something into the bronze pot behind him. As he's slowly turning around, you hear something you didn't expect. There is a tapping sound coming from inside Colleen's backpack.
Is there a chamber door in the back?
Oh dear.
A chamber door?
Knock, knock, knocking on the
A
chamber
rapping.
Oh,
Why is your backpack knocking?
I'll take out the egg and just cradle it in my arms, I guess.
Can I while that's going on, obliviously ask Tavrith if he's plans to make it through this? I know he said he was old and stuff, but like,
right. He turns around and says, "We'll see. It feels..." And he stops as he notices Colleen taking out the egg. Let me...
I think you're supposed to sit on that, Colleen.
Okay. And he says, "Colleen, what in the world do you have there? I can tell it's an egg, but I can't recognize at all what it is."
It's one of those flying dudes.
It was given to me by a pair of quattle.
His eyes open even wider. At this point, there's sort of a peck, and you see a small hole open up on one side of the egg. And he says, "Well, I never would have expected." And then there's just fracture after fracture, sort of spider veins open up in the egg.
Quick, sit on it, Colleen.
And the creature pokes its head out. You can see sort of a little tooth sticking out that it wasn't present in the full-grown quaddles, but clearly is something temporary that it uses to actually get out of the egg. The creature that sort of sticks its head out and then finally begins to slide out of the eggshell is about a third of the size of the adults that you met at the palace. The scales that cover its body are a shimmering turquoise, and its body is coated in a filmy moisture.
Oh my god, it's adorable.
The feathers on its wings and tail are light pink and downy. It lets out a small cry, somewhere between a croak and a squeal, and it looks up at Colleen.
Oh my god.
I get really close to it, and I'm like, "Can you talk too?"
does it say mama?
We're eternally bound. I'm in love.
It sort of looks at you, Colleen, for a long moment. Then it finishes slipping all of the way out of the egg, stretches its wings, and starts beating them. The full-grown quaddles seem to sort of hover, more so than fly. Like maybe they move their wings like imperceptibly. But this one is clearly sort of beating its wings in the air in order to keep itself aloft, a little clumsily. But it sort of like looks back and forth at itself, then begins flying between all of you in an arcing dance. Fallon, it pauses for a moment in front of you, then in front of Anya for a slightly longer moment. And then it swoops back towards Colleen and comes to rest on your shoulder, its tail wrapped around the back of your neck. So just sort of like from one side to the other, not all the way around.
I need it. I'll give it some dried fruit from my bag.
Okay. You know what? Give me animal handling. Not
Oh,
strictly
great.
a beast, but we'll go for it.
Really good at handling those animals. Except for not at all.
Okay. It sort of like lets out a little bit of a squeal as you stroke it, and you sort of back off, like a little bit scared for a moment. And then a few seconds later, though, you feel it relax a little bit more. And just sort of looks out towards you all. Or actually looks out at Tovrith along with you all.
Well, I guess we have to name it now. Got any
Can you name it
names?
Roger?
Is it male or female?
Kane will try to determine if it's male or female.
Lovely.
Tully is just kind of staring at it and pipes in, maybe it's something you should consider for a little time.
I think we should call it Steve. He looks like a Steve.
Steve is a silly boy.
She looks over at you, Ernan, and says, or we could go with Steve.
Does it sound like the kind of quaddle names we ran into in that ice palace? Was
Does
it
Steve sound
Oni
like it?
and Oni and what?
Their names were
Omniel, Servio.
I'm Niall, Servio, and Steve. Perfect.
Stevie-il.
I'm sorry, it's way too hot in my apartment. I gotta turn down the thermostat just a sec.
What if we call it, like, Olin?
What?
I just made up the name.
What about
Oh,
Fabrizio?
Fabrizio.
What about
I second Fabrizio.
I'm still pushing for Steve.
Fabrizio. I like
support Fabrizio.
Fabrizio.
Fabrizio. KC will be impressed. I just know it.
my blue and pink quaddle baby.
I look at it, I'm like, hey, little dude. Girl, I'm blue too.
I liked my idea of triangulating Indus's position, but
Okay, sorry about that. Oh, crap. Sorry, just a second.
where will you be when diarrhea strikes? You know what I mean? Oh, crap is right.
Not my night. Anyways. All right.
Man,
I miss anything
can
important?
you go back to
Or are
watch
we
this?
just
It's so
talking
hilarious.
quaddle names?
We named it Fabrizio.
Fascinating.
I looked at, I walked up to it and said, look, I'm
you-
blue too.
Do you tell it that its name is Fabrizio?
Yes.
Okay.
Until it gets big enough to say otherwise. Its name is Fabrizio.
Okay.
Fabrizio Steve.
So,
We're like those hippie parents where they can choose their own name when they're old.
Okay. So actually, all of you hear a sort of chiming voice inside your minds, and it says, Fabrizio?
Oh my god.
Then it
Who said
you see it sort of cock its head to the side and sort of start nodding up and down.
Fallon says, "Damn, that sounds cool."
I'll look
Fabrizio.
close, look at it. Say, was that you?
And then it just keeps repeating for a moment. Fabrizio, Fabrizio, Fabrizio. All this. Yeah.
Can you say Kane?
Mouth is not.
Kane?
Fabrizio.
It
Say
it
Kane.
swings around and looks at you, Kane. Kane?
Hey, you like this dude. I give it a thumbs up. I was gonna say high five, but I realized it has no hands.
I have a wonderful crew
that
of
is true.
pets called Lacidel and Fabrizio.
Gosh.
Isn't Lastadel like a person?
In my
The
mind,
first
yes.
snake of the group.
It's merely a pet. Won't you tell him?
You can see it just sort of attentively watching you all as you talk. And finally, Tavroth speaks up and says, well, that is something that I've never seen. For a group like yours to be entrusted with a quaddle egg. I won't ask, but
I'm real persuasive.
Kane had nothing to do with it.
Hey, those quaddles liked me. We had a good conversation.
I mean, yeah, they had to laugh.
As I've said before, I must admit, I've had my misgivings about your group, but to see that, perhaps I ought to have thought of you better. Well, that's not what he says. He says, perhaps I have not thought of you quite as highly as I ought. Anyways, I think, in light of all this, it's time that I stop hoarding one particular secret to myself. And he gets up and starts walking away. And Fallon, as he's been sort of bathing in this healing magic, you can see he seems loosened a little bit, walking with more determination, sort of walks through, walks sort of around your group and over towards the door and says, if you will, follow me. Anyone doing anything other than following the dragon?
I will anchor the quaddle on my shoulder like this.
Okay.
I'm making baby noises at the quaddle.
I will pet the quaddle.
Fallon
Alright,
and
animal handler.
Gamar continue to flank Anya.
Okay.
Oh, what's Tirsa doing this whole time?
Tirsa's been relatively quiet, just sort of observing.
Do I have advantage on the animal handler?
Her and
check?
Maxis were having a staring contest the whole time.
Okay.
Don't forget Thule.
You pet the quaddle and you feel it sort of like retract just a little bit when you first start petting it, but then it lets you.
Okay.
And actually it would have picked this up by now, so it looks at you and says, and you hear inside your head, name?
Oh, I'm Aaron. Hi.
Aaron. It looks at you. Fabrizio.
Nice to meet you.
It shakes its head really adorably.
I do a little bow.
All right, and it sort of watches your gesture and then sort of lowers its head a little bit and then pulls it back up.
I ask it, can I pet you too?
it just sort of like ripples up and down and puts his head to the side, which you think might be the. Actually, give me animal handling to interpret this. I know it's a celestial, but we're just animal handling's an underused check. You have no idea what that means.
I look at Fallon like, what does it want?
Actually, let me see. Was Fallon looking?
Was that a yes?
Sure, Fallon was looking. Fallon, you can give animal handling if you want.
I can give him advice?
No,
Or
you
sorry,
can
what did you...
roll animal handling.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't...
Yep.
You cut out for me. when
Oh,
you said
sorry.
that.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically the equivalent of a shrug when Kane asked to pet the quaddle. So you can tell Kane what you want, but it's basically saying, all right.
Okay, so Fallon says, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah, that was definitely not an "I'll bite you if you catch me" potion at all.
I pet the quaddle. As I do, I say, "You're blue too. I'm also blue. We're both blue."
And Fallon says to Kane, now whatever you do not touch me or Gamork.
Oh gosh. All right. So while all
I
this
look
is
at my
happening,
hand. I look at Colleen in horror.
while all this was happening, Tavrith has sort of led you out of the room that you're in and down this direction in the hallway. And I'm just going to sort of unceremoniously move you all. So he takes you to this room that's basically like it's kind of like a hot spring. There are 2 open pools surrounded by rocks, a larger one and a smaller one. And they seem to be fed by heated water from below. Tavrith crosses over to the larger of the pools, which is just large enough to fit him, and he slides in. You hear sort of a grinding sound, and then his claw emerges from the water, gripping a large stone. It fits in his claw easy enough, but you imagine it'd be quite an effort for any of you to move it, especially underwater. So then you watch as he strains at something beneath the surface.
Things are more buoyant in water.
Fair. For some reason, I was thinking there would be like pressure on it, and that would make it hard. But
Neutral buoyancy makes it easier.
yeah, no, I think you're right. Anyways, I've got a PhD in a science-related field, guys. Anyways,
Just say it's a magic rock. We're good.
no. I'm wrong.
It's
a normal rock. It's just a
heavy
rock.
in water magic rock.
It's just a rock. It is still kind of heavy. Anyways, and in this case, oh, that's what it is. With the door, he would be kind of straining because it's air underneath the door, and so the water pressure would be holding it down. What I'm thinking of is true in this case, not for the rock. Anyways, so you watch as great bubbles suddenly start exploding on the surface, and the water drains from the pool to reveal an iron door hanging open on a hinge. Tavrith steps out of the pool, shakes itself off. Perhaps some of you catch some of that. But then his eyes pass over all of you again, finally settling on Aaronin. And he says, "Best be you. Go on, head down and fetch what you find there."
Right? Oh, sure. Okay. I go and investigate.
All right, you scrabble down the now drained pool. Basically, you do see where there's sort of a spring that's feeding it based on the rate of water coming in. You imagine it'll take quite a while to refill, but and beneath the door is a stone tunnel that gradually descends into darkness. Do you throw up a light at all?
Yes.
All right. The floor is wet, but the water appears to be draining downward. And after about 50 yards, you And actually, you would realize that you're sort of walking back this direction, or excuse me, back this direction towards the vault as you do this.
Okay.
So after about 50 yards, you notice a sizable gap that must be where the water's draining into. You cross it, and then the way slopes up again, almost as far as you've already come. And you exit into a small square room. The walls are mirrored, and patterns are etched on each of them. On the left, you see the vines and hawk that make the symbol of Carulo. And actually, in case you don't know these offhand, he's like the lawful, neutral, sort of nature-oriented god. To the front is the 8-pointed star and looking glass of Innis, and to the right are the dancers of Miros. In front of these mirrors are 3 lanterns, which bathe the room in soft light. One is pink, one is yellow, and one is a light blue. In the center of the room is a cylindrical pedestal of what appears to be marble, and on it you see 2 items. The first is a brass bell on a long handle, which appears to be maybe a snuffer. And the second, ringed in a halo of light from the lanterns, is a silvery mirror in a case of either ivory or some other white material. You look around, uncertain of what you're supposed to be doing here, but as your eyes pass over the mirror etched with Miros' symbol, you're startled to notice that you're not alone. You look back at the spot that you seem to be seeing in the mirror and don't notice anyone, and then slowly turn back, and there she is, curled horns on her head, her hands graceful claws, her hair billowing like flame in all the colors of the rainbow. And this is Kalea, who Aaron knows who this is. And she addresses you and says, "Well, this is an interesting place." She pauses and looks you up and down. "Oh, you look a little out of it. Somebody needs to get laid."
We're done.
Anyways,
Who is this again?
from your backstory bit that I gave you before you joined the campaign.
Why did I not write that person down?
I don't know. She's the one who gave you
Sounds
the ring.
important.
Or she's the one who was like in the ring.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yep.
For some reason, I didn't put that in my character sheet. But yes, okay, I remember what you're talking about now.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, that's how you spell it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here we are.
Is she actually here, or is this an illusion?
You see her in the mirror. You don't see her not in the mirror.
I would like to attempt to poke the space where she appears to be with my stick of poking.
Okay. Roll a D100, because that's what you do with a stick of poking. That's the official rules for it. You roll a D100 and add 1, because it's a +1 stick of poking.
Oh, like I was gonna forget that. That's an 85.
85. Okay. You poke out, and it just goes through the air, and it's like, and she says, "Well, that's an awfully phallic gesture of you, Aaron, but unfortunately, I don't think there'll be any poking just yet."
Damn. Wait, this is Jet? So in the future, then, you mean?
I mean, I have faith in you. You were doing all right before you left with this group. At least, I think.
Yeah. Not quite what I meant, but yes. Maybe? Yes. Yes.
Anyway, as I said, this is a rather interesting spot you seem to have found yourself in. Do you know what you're here to do?
It would appear that I'm picking a shiny thing off of a pedestal, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I'm basically just going where people keep telling me to go, so, you know. Alright, now I'm here.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll let you in on a little secret.
Ooh, I love secrets.
So that thing right there, and she points at the snuffer. That's just for putting out flame. That's nothing special. The mirror, that's what you want. But notice how it's ringed in light from those 3 lanterns.
Aye.
That mirror is the magical looking glass Cyphera. Its primary purpose is to show you a path, but if I perceive the magic of this place rightly, it can also show you more. The question is whether you want to see things past, and Clea's hair flickers red at this, present, and then it flickers yellow, or future, and it glows blue. And then she says, if I were you, I might try putting out 2 of those lanterns.
Is she being straight with me?
Insight?
17.
Okay. She's hard to read. Just sort of reasoning through this, she's lent you some amount of power. She has some sort of mission that she's putting you on. You don't perceive a good reason for her to deceive you. On the other hand, if you're looking for any sort of clue from her, hard to say.
Is there any clear way of differentiating the lanterns? Or are they just all...
They're 3 different colors.
They're the 3 different colors of her hair?
Yeah, so her hair sort of flickered through colors similar
Yeah, it's the same
to
ones.
the colors
Okay.
of the lantern.
Let's sniff out the ones except for the blue one.
Okay.
Leave the blue one glowing.
All right. You turn around. You pick up the snuffer. You put out the sort of pinkish lantern, and then the yellow one. As you turn around to replace the snuffer, Kalea sort of winks at you from the mirror, and then you see sort of a swirl and what appears to be a puff of smoke, and she disappears. Yes, penis is a
Okay.
Anyways, I'm more distractible than normal today. Okay, and you look back at the mirror and watch as the halo of light around it disappears, but then you notice a dull blue light glowing up from it. You step up and take it.
I look into the mirror.
Okay. Are you looking for anything in particular?
Isn't this how magic mirrors work? You look in the magic mirror and it does a thing.
The one on the pedestal.
Yeah,
right.
the magic mirror.
Okay. So you
Look
take
in the magic mirror.
Yep, you take the magic mirror, you open it, you look at it. So first of all, you notice that actually sort of ringed above the mirror are 3 blue stones that are glowing dully. And I'm just going to sort of give you credit for this one. Somehow you just know that this is what's going on. You can use this object 3 times to ask a question concerning matters future and see things in the mirror.
Well, I wasn't prepared for this. Okay.
All right. Moreover, as you take it and sort of turn it around, look at the room, you notice from where you're standing that there appears to be sort of a barely visible but clearly visible, sort of a scarlet thread that leads from where you're standing back down and up the way you came. You see it when you look in the mirror, but you don't see it just looking normally.
I'm going to follow the thread.
All right. Give me history.
12.
That's actually what you needed. So
Yay.
this is fairly commonly known history in Einangrun that if this is indeed Cyphera, this is an object that the original settlers used in order to find Einangrun in the first place. So the island is magically isolated from the outside world. Basically what happens is you're sailing out on the sea, and if you don't stick to a very specific path, then you'll go right through the area like Einangrun isn't even there. I mean, it's some sort of like weird island from Lost kind of thing going on. So you have to stick to this specific path or you won't even find the place. Looking at this, you're guessing that something kind of similar to that might be going on. Maybe this scarlet thread leads somewhere. But that would be interesting because it would say
That'd be why I'm following it.
because it would say that this isn't just leading to Einangrun, it's leading to some specific location they're in. So, all right. Are you just walking out then, or are you doing anything else?
I'm following this thread to wherever it goes.
Okay. You follow the thread back down the passageway, back up the passageway, and out into the drained bath. And you sort of climb out and sort of scrabble back up to the lip.
Hey, look, magic mirror.
Yeah, for what it's worth, the thread leads back out of the room, and you can't tell from there.
I kind of wave it and go, hey, look, magic mirror. And then I go to keep following the thread.
As you continue walking, Tavrith notices you and says, "Are you going to continue following that all the way now, Aaron?"
I mean, that's what it's here for, isn't it?
It's here for a number of things. I thought that you should have it because, well, if chance should ever take you out of Einangrun, it might be nice for you to be able to come back.
Right. But I'm in Einangrun now, it'll take me a place, so...
Well, as far as where that leads, I believe Innes set it to a particular location. And the question is whether that is a path you wish to follow now. I believe the last time the group was here, mind you, you weren't with them. They decided not to pursue that just yet.
Well, I didn't pursue it.
For very good reasons.
It doesn't sound like a good reason. Anybody else?
Muted, Fallon.
I think you're muted there, House.
Oh, sorry. I could have swore that Kane responded to me when I said, he said for very good reasons, and I said that Kane doesn't remember right now. And then he said, shh, like, hey, shut up. So why didn't we chase the mirror down? Was the question, right?
That was the question.
Well, you see, the idea was that we would destroy it. All the demons would be expelled, but then the kind of magical barrier preventing tourism to Einangrun would kind of dissipate.
So I'll.
You want to set up a tourist shop.
Wait,
first.
hold up. Is this like a St. Patrick kind of thing, where it's like gonna drive all the snakes off the island?
So I will remind you of the options that you confronted before. So you did come here actually looking for this item before, didn't wind up taking it with you because you decided there were more important things. But the options that you considered involving it are, number one, when you were originally told about it, it was presented that if destroyed, that it was sort of tied somehow to the magic that was keeping Einon Grun isolated. And from this is going to sound really wishy-washy, but it makes sense in my brain. From a sort of planar perspective, it would sort of turn the island inside out, which is to say that Einon Grun would become easily accessible for everyone in the world, but it would become less accessible from other planes of existence. And that would include that all the demons would most likely be instantly expelled out of Einon Grun if you destroyed it. However, another option for using it is if for any reason you wanted to leave Einon Grun and not destroy it, it would help you get back. The third thing, though, is that Innis was having a weird memory gap when she was here before. She knew that she set it to hone in on a specific location, but she didn't remember what that was. And then after the encounter with the weird stuff that you all had here, that's when she told you to track down the vestiges, the dragon spirits, and the creation stones, and you decided that was more important than dealing with the mirror just yet.
Do you have those all now, then?
You've got 4 vestiges, 2 creation stones right now.
How many more are there to get?
3 vestiges and 1 creation stone.
Okay.
You have none of the dragon spirits at present, though.
Yes, I kept saying dragon spirits, and we don't have any.
Well, where's one find a dragon spirit?
In dragons. And I try not to look at Tavrith when I say that.
That's the exact same thing.
He closes his eyes and says, "The spirits of the ancient chromatic dragons that are passed from person to person." I believe.
Oh, that's right. You know, actually, I know where... Crap. I knew where one of them is.
That'll turn into one.
Now, the other one, that I can't remember. What happened to that greased-up guy that used to run around with us?
That's a solid question.
Alistair took him to the Feywild.
Oh, that's... Did he go with that one-armed fellow we used to know?
Yup.
Sorry, it's been a while, like a week. I can barely remember them. You son of a gun. Well, we kind of know where 2 of them are, right? Well, what happened to his old girlfriend, the green dragon?
You left her in
Siren? Siren?
Yeah, the capital.
One of them may be in Siren.
Well, Siren was overrun by demons.
Well, it used to be. It's Siren. She probably took care of herself. The other one's in the Feywild. How many of those were there?
5.
And then, 3 is scattered to the wind for all we know.
Alright. So do you want demons or the Feywild?
What?
Are we gonna go fight demons or go to the Feywild?
I think I have an appointment to keep in somewhere out in Gavila, and there's some other vestiges that way, and we don't even know. Do we see the red string and everything?
No, at this point, I mean, unless Aaron's like holding it out for all of you, he's the only one who sees it.
So has he not told us what he's found down there?
I mean,
yet?
if you want to show it to him, you can.
I kind of wave it in their general direction, but don't show it like closely or anything.
Okay, it probably
Magic mirror.
I mean,
That way.
if anyone wants to, you can try to make a perception check as he does that.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, you don't notice.
Did a great job.
You don't notice anything. You just see him waving it.
We don't notice the string, but we see the mirror.
Yeah, you see the mirror. At this point, Tavrith sort of clears a very massive throat and says, "It's all right. Can we make our way back to the vault? I think we found all that we need here." And he starts walking towards the door. Anyone object to this?
No, not really.
Okay.
What about my 15?
What? What'd you say, Kane?
My 15 perception.
Yeah, no. So you make your way back to the vault. You watch as Tavrith sort of returns to the spot he was in when you first met him. He scoops up another helping of golden gems into his mouth, swallows them, and then settles onto the ground. A long moment passes, almost to where you think that he might have fallen asleep or something, except his eyes are still open.
Can Fallon interject?
Yeah, sure.
And he says, seeing that mirror reminded me. Here you go. And I return the mirrors from myself and from Alistair's backpack.
I returned mine as well.
Okay. Yeah, so deduct those. He sort of looks at you all and says, did return them. Thank you. He looks at you, Fallon, and says, you mentioned having a place to go in Gavila.
Yep.
Anything
Well,
I can
there's-
help you with there?
Where was that place? Shit, I wrote it down. It's in my drive, but
Telia's car. That's right.
do you know anything about something locked up in Telia's car held by 13 or so seals?
He... Alright. Or actually, let me leave it there. He thinks for a long moment. You see his eyes narrow. And then he says, there was a king or emperor of the Javit. His name was Nandor. He sought to expand the reach of his empire as far as possible. One of his furthest flung settlements was Telia's Car. It was to be, well, one part outpost for exploration, and one part pleasure city, being at the south of the world on the South Sea, on the border between the South and West Seas and all. He unearthed something there. I don't know exactly what, but, and this was, or actually, wait a minute. And I know of this only secondhand, mind you. It all happened after I was already here. But I know that the place is now called Nandor's, well, the region, anyway, is now called Nandor's Folly. So, perhaps it might have something to do with what he discovered there.
Fair enough.
give me, and this, I know that you're not lying or anything, but this is, I'm just sort of using this to set difficulty for insight checks. Can you give me deception? He looks at you, Fallon, and says, "You hide it well, but you seem nervous about something. I won't press the issue. But is there anything I can do to help?"
Well, would you ever trust a fiend? He's a fiend or pit fiend, right?
Yeah.
Or a pit fiend. Would you ever trust a pit fiend?
The biggest and baddest of the fiends, yes.
Generally speaking, not unless they were beholden to someone who was trustworthy. Their general motivation is, well, the corruption of souls and the enjoyment of their suffering.
Are we here, by the way? Like, can we hear this? I didn't quite
Yeah,
hear
this
from
conversation's happening in the open.
it. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I mean, he seems like an alright fella.
Have you made some sort of deal, Fallon?
I might have. But he's supposed to be helping.
He narrows his eyes, says, "Well, what's done is done. I cannot decide for you, but do be careful."
I think Fallon says. Fallon says, I think the careful part's over.
Well, yes, and he looks at you one more time. I would not get in your way while the goddess's blessing is on you.
And Fallon says, saving Einengren ain't cheap.
Understood. Well, perhaps if Innis can be restored, she might shed some perspective on this. Shakes his head slightly. Along those lines, I did want to ask you. I can tell that you have multiple purposes at play. Not only this, but to seek those things of which Innis instructed you, perhaps to find a way to resist the demons. I wanted to ask you where you were at. Would you add to that list to seek to restore the goddess? Or would you at least seek others who might do so? Tirsa and Tully just sort of shift in place a little bit, but don't say anything.
Well, if we're in the vault, kids also try and not look at all the treasure.
Okay. You know
Like
what?
looking up at the ceiling and stuff, like.
You know what? Give me a wisdom saving throw. Or actually,
I feel a crit
Yeah,
fail
that's
coming
fine.
on. Oh!
It ain't right what you done to that
This is
boy.
your fault.
I called that so hard.
You cursed me.
Anyone
Like
else?
that ruby curse you, Kane.
Anyone else can give insight?
Sure.
Yeah, sure, why not? Seems like it's like music.
10 out of 10. Would insight again.
Nat 20.
Nice. All right. So you can all tell that Kane is really really struggling to restrain himself here. Like, Tovrith is talking, and he's mostly just looking at piles of stuff. And in addition, Aaron, you can see the amused twinkle in Tovrith's eyes. He's not about to rip Kane to shreds or anything, but Like, he actually seems to find it kind of endearing that
I'm gonna
Kane
kind
is
of just
trying
slide
and
up
failing
and give
so
him
hard.
kind of a bro hug and be like, "How's it going, bud?" Just to kind of make him well aware that I'm here.
Why are you touching me?
Just making sure you get.
So, in answer
Don't
to
touch me.
Avra's question, Fallon will say, look around at the group and say, well, I guess it's in our best interest to help Innis out as well.
Seems like
Yes. Yeah, seems good. You know?
Yep, looks like we're all on board.
He sort of gives out a huff that seems to be the draconic equivalent of, well, he laughs, basically, and says, the lightheartedness with which you accept this, based on the little bit that I know about who you're up against, well, do your best to be careful. That being said, he sighs for a moment and then says, I am a dragon, and consequently a greedy bastard. However, if you will do what you can to restore the goddess and seek to correct my error, then, and he sort of gestures his head back towards the horde and says, you may all take one item.
I start scanning for items.
Alright, so...
Just like preemptively, like kind of like picking out like a shopping list to later, like to be like, what should I narrow it, sit down?
So, after, well, actually, no, we'll just leave it there.
Fallon assumes that Gamork gets to pick something as well.
Yeah, I guess so.
Whoa. What about Fabrizio?
I'm not going that far.
I feel like everything Fabrizio is like more sentient than Gamork. So,
actually,
chill.
No, hold
Gamork's
on.
been with the party longer.
If Gamork gets an item,
Okay.
No, I have to think about this for a moment. I hadn't thought through the Gamork angle.
Well, fine.
it's like a magical bone. If it's like a magical bone or something, you know.
No.
Or something.
I mean, it's not like Fallon's going to tell him, hey, I want that too, go get it for me. It'd be...
It would be Gamork actually choosing something that Gamork...
No, I know what I'm going to do. Not Fabrizio, but Gamork can pick, but I'm going to do one other thing, because Gamork is a wolf. Alright, so here is how we're going to do this. Everybody gets to think of a general sort... There's all kinds of stuff here, okay? So just name a general sort of thing. Colleen, no, is the answer to that question, unfortunately.
Damn.
I have a few thoughts, but I'm curious to know what the question was now.
Don't worry about it.
Was it ill will towards Gamork?
Of course not. Wolf Bro's always been an MVP.
So everyone can think of a general kind of item that you want to find. You'll be able to find something easily enough. So, you know, you could say, I want to look for a long sword. I want to look for light armor. I want to look for a musical instrument, a wand, a staff, a ring, a sculpture, you know. Anything that you could reasonably find in a dragon horde, you'll find some instance of that here. And then I'm going to have you make a roll after you say generally what kind of thing.
I'm looking for some rings.
Looking for rings, Kane? Okay.
I mean, would he have like magical items that would help us in battle or something, or is it just going to be like fancy stuff?
But the roll is going to determine sort of what manner of thing you get from the general category.
Got it.
You ask. So Kane, you are looking for some sort of ring. Go ahead and give me a D100 roll.
We're doing this now?
Yes.
Okay.
That being said,
4 to 7.
it's a little difficult to come up with a bunch of magical items when I'm letting you choose the category. And especially given the state my brain is in right now, I'm not going to try to make it up now. I'll tell you in between sessions exactly what you got.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Kane, you go and find actually, let me think about this real quick. I'll describe the ring later. This will be the beginning of next session. But you find a rather nice looking ring that has sort of a good feeling to it. Colleen, I see you wanting to pick out a short sword.
Yes.
So go ahead and give me a roll as well.
Oh, one off.
All right. All right.
Do we have to whisper it to you? Is that what people are doing?
That's
No,
what
I
Colleen
just like
did, but you don't have to
whispering
whisper it.
Damn it, I can't decide.
I have my own agendas.
I'd say unless you like, I just picked something I didn't already have a magical thing for. Like I already got magic armor and weapons, and a cloak, and
Yeah.
a ring. Plus, I have no attuned items. I feel like left out. Everyone else is attuned to something.
I have so many attuned items, I threw one at someone else.
Don't stop bragging about it. Good.
By the way, actually, let me see here. Hey, Kane, do you want to choose what kind of thing Maxis gets?
Ooh.
I'll let you choose the kind of thing. Or actually, wait a minute. Who has Maxis' character sheet?
Can it be a girdle?
Wait, okay. I mean, why not just let Maxis decide between sessions two? Since you're telling
what
Oh, wait,
weapons
actually, you know
then?
what? I just realized Braveshine has
Yeah.
Maxis' character sheet. So
I do.
So Brave, why don't actually you choose for
Ooh.
Maxis? So you can take a look at what he has and say what kind of thing he wants.
I kind of feel
Fallon,
like you should
I
just let
see
Maxis
you
decide on Slack.
saying you want a cape or cloak of some kind. So go ahead and give me that D100. Alright. Cool.
So I rolled a 70 and a 0.
Huh?
Or did it do a 7 and a 0? Maybe that's what it was.
Your display must be different than mine. I just see 70.
Sorry, the dice, the 3D dice that show up on my screen, maybe not everyone has them
Oh.
turned on.
Oh,
Got
yeah,
it. And then you can choose for Gamork as well. I'm gonna have you
Yeah,
roll 2d100 for Gamork.
I'm trying to think of
actually.
what he needs. Damn it, what else could he's got a cape and he's got a necklace. Gamork. You know, it's a wolf helmet with a spike on top.
You found a magic wand in the shape.
Okay. Fallon. Kane.
A
I
magic
do see
wand
your
in the shape
comment.
of what?
I'm gonna
Like a
stick with what I said for now, but I understand where you're coming from. Okay. So Gamork.
because I'm lagging a bit, so I don't know if you guys can heard everything.
That. Okay.
If Dick Chickens was here, he'd want a wand in the shape of a penis.
Wait. So wait. Did you say Mork wants a wolf helm?
With a spike in the middle. It's like a little. I don't know. Well, he doesn't have a helmet.
All right. Duly noted. I'll figure something out. Colleen, I see what you wrote for Maxis, and actually I think that makes some decent sense. So go ahead and you roll for Maxis.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Holy shit.
Was it like a
Kane,
club or?
I'm just gonna say that Maxis really benefited from not being here, given that that was the roll. Alrighty then. Aaron, have you decided?
He said he wants something fashionable.
I want something fashionable.
Just,
And I rolled a 93.
Cummerbund.
just something fashionable.
Something that looks really hot on me.
Eyeshadow. Give him some magical eyeshadow.
Alright, duly noted.
Magical lipstick, obviously.
Some body glitter.
Alright.
Yes, body glitter.
No, that would have been for Halil.
Alright. I will take some time in between sessions and work out exactly what you all found. Dear God, Maxis isn't here and he rolled on 100.
Yeah, that's pretty epic.
What
kind of? Can you at least tell us what item it was? What sort?
Oh yeah, it was. He said bracers.
Ooh, he's gonna get Wonder Woman bracers. Damn it! I wanted those.
Did the size of the number influence how good the thing was?
Yeah.
Oh man.
100 was its own category, also.
I rolled a 47. Damn it.
Actually, none of you. All of you rolled at least in the third category out of 5.
Okay.
So, like, 31 to 74 was all one tier because that was set up to be the most likely.
Oh.
So most of you rolled in that.
Okay.
Oh, that's weak. I'd roll a 70. Dang it.
All right. Anyways, I will get you your things, but you all sort of disperse.
Goddamn
taking some time to consider. A few minutes later, you all come back with your items that I will detail next time. But for now, just mark like a placeholder on your character sheet. It's just I am not even going to try to invent magical items on the spot tonight. Okay.
Oh, what a lazy GM.
So as you come back, Tavrith. Oh, and I should mention, or actually, no, I shouldn't mention that. Anyways, so Tavrith sort of looks at you all and says, "To think that now of all times I would have so many of you small folk gathered about me. Clearly have not led a typical life for a dragon." He looks at you, Fallon, and says, "I thank you for lending what aid you could. I do think that my days are numbered at this point," and he looks up at all of you and says, "And if you don't mind, I would like solitude at this time. I also advise you not to stay too long. It's not the way of my kind to go violently, but if not that, it is our way to go alone. And I imagine that one of my kin will come by to claim this hoard."
Fallon says, do you need more healing?
He looks and says, "Healing magic of the sort that you used, Fallon, is meant to restore people from injuries, perhaps illnesses, things that have taken their bodies from their natural state. The natural state of my body is that, well, I think things are shutting down."
His natural state is the caves of the old.
Can I hold up some holy water and say, "What about this?"
He just smiles weakly and says, If you don't need anything further from me, then Anya, could you please show them out?
I do want to have a moment with Anya.
Okay, are you doing this before or after leaving? By the way, it occurs to me that Anya would have actually gotten a thing as well. So, okay. Just
Hey, Tarvith.
So Fallon, the answer is yes. So don't let me forget. I'm checking one thing real quick. Anya is actually going to pick up a new shield.
Oh, I was about to suggest items.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to
Boots.
I just got one question for Tarvith real quick.
Okay. Yeah, shoot.
Is there anyone that's not here that you might want to give part of your hoard to? I imagine you've met a good number of people during your life. Maybe there's someone that you want to, like, in case you don't get a chance to say goodbye, give something to them.
He smiles weakly and says, "The hoard of a dragon is exactly that, a hoard. It is mine until I die, and then another of my kin will take it from me. Frankly, I'm just guessing, because honestly, dragons do not normally die of old age. But I can't help but think that this place will draw someone."
So there's no one that you want to, like, at least, like, leave a message to then? Or anything like that?
How many friends do you think I have, Kane?
I mean, you had at least, like, 2 when we got here. And since then, you have more. So maybe there's, like, 1 or 2 other people out there. You live a long time. I don't know. Maybe you'd prefer, like, an elf, like, hundreds of years ago. They'd still be alive.
I am a unique dragon, Kane.
This is true.
And because of this, I have friends in my Galabdur companions, and in the goddess, and now in you. That's all I need, and all I have.
Kane's heart explodes. I say, okay. So if your kid are gonna take the treasure anyway, like,
Dear God.
His eyes...
I tried really hard not to ask this question, but I couldn't.
His eyes narrow. He looks down. He takes a gold coin, holds it up in his claw, and flips it to you from, like 15 feet away, maybe, something like that. You know what? Give me sleight of hand. Because let's just see if you crit fail.
Again.
Okay, yeah. You snatch it out of the air, and it says, and then Thomas says, "One last bit of generosity."
I shall tell stories of you, but not where your stuff is.
Very well. So you get a gold piece.
Yeah, I added that to my new
Yeah.
I did it before I caught it.
Brilliant. You know what? Actually, give me a persuasion check. Just to check on this.
Come on, natural 20. Natural 20. And 21.
Deduct the gold, you get a platinum, actually. That was a platinum.
Nice. What if I get a nat 20?
A nat 20? I don't know. Maybe it would have been fancy.
Okay, cool. Because I was one away from the nat 20.
Yeah, maybe it would have been something fancier than a platinum, but you got a platinum.
A cursed ruby worth 10 platinum.
Anyway, that last cursed ruby got me a nice sum, and there were no consequences for me about selling it. Maybe an entire city, of the central civilization of an group. But hey, no one knows.
Okay, so do folks start leaving the room?
Yes, I will try to get a moment with Kirsten at some point.
Okay.
In case this
Yeah.
comes up.
All right. So most of you sort of start slowly leaving. Some of you might hear this as you leave. Fallon, you sort of look back as Anya's actually lingering a bit. She looks up at Tavrith, and you just hear her say, "Goodbye." And Tavrith says, "Goodbye, Anya."
Dang it, I forgot to say goodbye. I guess it counts.
I'll assume that you did. That's fine. And she leaves the room and pulls the vault doors. Or actually, no, they're huge. So shortly after she walks out, you hear Tavrith get up and close the vault door behind her. Anya sort of steps out in front of everyone and looks out at you all and says, "Here," and then starts walking down the hallway. Or actually, you know what, Fallon, or oh yeah, so she guides you, not. All right, so Anya will guide you all sort of this direction and down the other hallway. And she actually guides you towards. No, I don't want him. She actually guides you towards this room, the library. She so let me see here. So inside the library, it's actually kind of big, I think. Yeah, so it's like 100 feet. But it's largely open. There are some desks in the middle of the room, but it's clearly made so that a large golden dragon could walk it around in the place without wrecking it. Most of the books are sort of on 2 levels on the outside of the room. On a table just inside the room is some simple but very nice looking food. There's a baked ham, some cheese, bread, fruit, water, and wine to drink. At this moment, Fallon, if you wanted to sort of pull Anya aside, you probably could. And
Yep.
Kane, if you wanted to have a conversation, you'd probably be able to have like a quasi-private conversation. You wouldn't be able to have a truly private conversation here. But you could like...
Then I will not do it.
Okay.
This needs to be a truly private conversation.
Okay. You could potentially ask to leave the room. You just might be noticed to leave.
I will ask this. I was like, Tirsa, do you have a moment?
Sure, just a sec. She grabs just some grapes off the table and walks with you out of the room. Fallon, we'll start with you.
It was like, I say, I guess it's hard to talk, so you can just nod. Does that sound okay?
She nods pretty quickly.
I may be able to help. Maybe. Would you like me to try?
Her eyes sort of go wide for a moment. And she gives sort of a conflicted, or actually give me insight. I mean, I just told you, but give me insight. Yeah, she looks conflicted and a little confused. And she struggles for a while. Finally stamps her foot and sort of looks toward the wall.
So I try to get her attention again, I guess.
Yep.
And I say, look, I'll level with you. I have basically 2 wishes left from Carulo. and now's as good a time as any. What do you think?
Her eyes go wide again. She sort of looks down. You see like a little bit of moisture.
So Fallon says, I tell you what, how about we agree to leave it up to Gumor?
Then she just looks confused, actually.
I'm trying to take the pressure off of her from making any decision.
Right.
So, and I say, well, look, that way you don't have to worry about it. And if he says go ahead, we do it. If not, we don't.
Give me one more insight. She
Copy paste.
just sort of calms a bit, gives you sort of an amused expression. Finally, she sort of sighs, her shoulders actually slump a little bit, and she gives you almost a defeated look, which you're not necessarily quite sure how to interpret. But then she looks up and sort of gives a little shrug.
I lean down to talk to Gamork, or on a knee, take a knee.
Okay.
And I just say, Gamork, do you think I should try to use a wish? And I flash the ring at him, which I've always kept turned inward, so it just looks like a plain wood ring on the top of my hand. To try to help our friend Anya. And I assume he looks back and forth, and I don't know.
I mean,
gives
your animal companion, you narrate for him.
Okay, so he looks at me, looks at Anya, looks at me and whimpers, like a like impatient whimper.
Okay.
And I stand back up and I look at Anya. Oh, that settles it. And I'll cup her face with at least one hand and say, I wish you were all better.
Okay. Just because this is a thing that I'm doing, roll a d100.
Yeah.
You say that, and she looks at you for a long moment, says, actually, wait, let me think about this. And she says, do you have a wish ring? Oh my god. Fallon, you're an idiot. And she like slaps you sort of playfully, but then hugs you and sort of whispers into your ear, you shouldn't have done that. Do you know what you can use that for?
Anything. I can use it for anything I want.
And she just sort of keeps sort of hugging you more tightly, sort of puts her head up against your shoulder. Says, you moron. Thank you. Let the camera fade on this moment.
Aren't they in public?
Yeah, but I presume nobody's saying that they're intruding on it or anything. Other people might notice.
Kane had already left to be like, get a room.
But I'm going to fade out to the hallway, and then I'll fade back into this. Is what I'm saying. So let's fade back out to the hallway real quickly. All right, so Kane, you've ask Tirsa to sort of step out into the hallway.
Sorry, I was talking that whole time, but
Oh, okay.
my headset turned off.
Got it.
Sorry.
No problem. What were you saying?
Oh, sorry. Oh, I came back in on you talking. So my thing was just to say, God, my head sounds so weird now. I'm turning it down. Oh shit, what did I say? I said, because damn it, you said, you're an idiot, thank you, or whatever, and I said something to the effect of, try to dodge the arrows. I'll use the third one the same way if I have to, but.
Okay. With that, she sort of pulls away slightly.
It was a smirking, silly
yeah,
thing.
yeah, I
It
know.
wasn't.
And sort of meets your smirk, reaches up and gives you a very light, sort of playful slap on the cheek, and then just goes straight back to what she was doing. Just sort of hugging you and leaning against you.
And at that, I'd say Gamork is super pumped. So to round out that part or that scene.
Okay. Yeah, and probably after some time, I would say she sort of pulls away, sort of squats down and scruffs Gamork behind his ears, says, "You're an idiot too. Has Fallon ever told you that? Both of you. Dumb, 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 dumb." All right, and
Gamork starts to cry.
with that, we fade back out to the hallway. And Tirsa says to you, Kane, "So, you wanted to talk about something?" And she eats a grape.
A couple things, actually. Let me start with the more minor one. Your voice in my head. What's up with that?
What's up with that is I am a master at mixing spells.
But why is it like making me like stop doing things that I would like to do?
I could tell you needed guidance, Kane.
Do you have a line into that voice, or are you two separate?
Oh, come on, Kane. A girl has to have her secrets.
You're in my head. I feel like I should get to know this one.
Give me persuasion.
Fuck.
Kane, didn't anyone ever teach you not to pry into a girl's secrets?
You pried into my brain.
Yes, because you
me,
clearly needed the help.
after killing me, which I've kind of let go. So I feel like that should get me something.
For what it's worth, Oh, actually, let me see here. Okay. She says, "Well, has it ever come in handy for you?"
That's not the point.
She smiles.
All right, whatever. Second thing, and even though I'm probably still gonna be smirking, Kane's trying to put a more serious face on.
All
He's
right.
like, what is your arrangement with Tuli?
She looks at you and says, "Right, you had some sort of thing going."
No, Kane's turning purple. No,
She says, "She's been helping me. I'm not holding her to any particular silence, so feel free to ask her if you want to know more."
but I'm asking you. She's not held to any sort of agreement or
Give me another persuasion.
forced to. Hey,
Did she tell you about Tindus?
she told me a bit. She said she oversaw a meeting that she probably shouldn't have.
Right. So, she learned certain things Not much, mind you, but some things that are insiders only. So, I had a choice, which is to either put her permanently outside or to make her an insider. I chose the second.
What do you mean by permanently outside?
I think you can guess.
All right. So
Not necessarily
she has to be
killed,
part of the group.
but dealt with in some way is
True.
the point.
She basically has to be part of the guild.
Well, she isn't officially a member, but she helped me in Tindas. You may have gathered that I borrowed the Scepter of Command.
We noticed, yes.
We went on a little field trip. We messed with the commanders of some of the goblins. Tully knows some useful magic for skulking about, it turns out. And,
Cough, cough. Arcane Trickster edits cough.
She smiles a little bit.
That was towards you.
That was what?
That was towards you. Remember, because you put in the Slack, you're like, I just made a slight change to Arcane Trickster. No reason why, of course.
I'll actually have mercy on you. That's not the reason why I made changes to Arcane Trickster.
Alright.
But and actually, you would have noticed that Tully seems to be a cleric, actually.
I noticed this. Oh. Kane's dumb.
Okay, I mean, maybe you didn't notice. But anyways,
right,
so Tirsa says, so she helped me get in and out undetected. We messed with a few of the goblins, and when they tried to attack the next day, there was a fair bit of confusion that, well, put an end to that. So, since then, keeping her on as something of an assistant.
Alright, Tirsa. I've mostly gone along with everything you've said, even despite, what happened fairly recently.
Honestly, I understand resentment about, well, being killed. So, fair enough.
And I will continue to do so. But you will let Tully out of whatever agreement you have reached. She's not to be a part of the guild.
She leans back against the wall for a moment and looks up thoughtfully. Says, Kane, I can tell that you're becoming more powerful. I don't wish to cross you. Even if I could probably deal with you, if it came to that, I don't want it to get there. It's not in my best interest as much as it's not in yours. Tully, I don't think she's unhappy with what I've worked out with her. But she sort of tips her head to the side. Feel free to ask her about it if you like.
Well, of course she's not unhappy. I wasn't unhappy either until I was poisoned. I know how this guild works. I know how you work. So I would, again, she will not be a part of this guild. You release her from whatever arrangement you have.
She grimaces a little bit. Actually, you know what? Give me intimidation.
God damn dice.
She grimaces a little bit and says, I'm not entirely certain that she wants out, but your wishes in this have been made known. I would again encourage you that she's a grown-up and she can make her own decisions. That being said, the options are limited, but I'll keep what you said in mind.
All right then.
She sighs and says, I really don't want ill will between us, Kane. If there's anything else I can do to ease this, then I certainly will. But I'm not going to take the risk of lying to you about this one.
Like I said, I've pretty much already kind of come to terms with what happened with us, but I don't want that happening with Thule in any chance of that happening. And as long as she's part of this guild, there's always that chance.
For what it's worth, as I said, she's not officially a member. I understand that might not
I don't
be
know if that makes it
exactly
better
what
or
you
worse.
mean, but there's that.
If she were to want to leave, would you allow it?
Of course.
All right. And I walk away.
All right. She waits a moment. She comes back into the room about 10 seconds after you do. And you come back in to find, I would presume, people sort of gathered around. I don't know. So after Anya and Fallon and Gamork kind of have their moment, does anyone else say or do anything?
Are they just sitting there in the middle of the room hugging it out?
Well, they did hug it out. I imagine they're probably done hugging, like just based on the amount of time that those conversations took. I imagine they're about done hugging it out by the time you get back, but there might be a little bit of commotion around the fact that Anya can like talk now.
I give Fallon a pat on the back as I walk past him. And a wink.
Okay. So you all sort of have some to do about Anya's recovery. Not hearing anyone saying or asking anything in particular. Finally, Anya sort of shakes her head and says, well then, I was just going to have to give you this, but Kane, glad to see you back. Kane, Fallon, I found a few things for you while you were away.
For me?
She walks across the room and starts rummaging around in a desk. Says, yeah, for you. I gathered that both of you were looking for some kind of information, and, well, I had quite a bit of downtime, so I rummaged around a bit. She pulls out a book and a parchment. Kane, she comes over to you and hands the parchment out to you.
Okay. That's not a full book. Never going to finish that.
Yeah, the parchment doesn't weigh anything. However, she says, I found an account in here, and I can't be 100% certain, but I think I know the location of an entrance to the plane of elemental air.
Dun dun dun.
Sorry, I need an inventory. I can't type and hit push talk at the same time.
Yeah, that's fine.
I just kind of say, well, thanks, Anya. This is very helpful.
No problem. And you look over it.
I give Anya a hug.
Okay. She yeah, she hugs you back without hesitation.
You had to roll for that? Oh, come on.
Kane
is lovable.
Yeah, yeah.
And wouldn't try to pick your pockets anymore.
Perception.
I put a low chance on it that she flinched in surprise, but instead she just hugs you.
Old Kane might have tried to pick some pockets while hugging, but this is new Kane.
All right. So the map basically indicates that right around this point, which as soon as I'm able to ping, I will indicate, right around this point here, where the mountains meet the sea, there's an entrance. And there's more specific directions than that, but that's generally where it's at. It's
Well, that
basically
is-
like a cliff.
Nice. I like. Oh yeah, cliff.
Yeah.
Facing the ocean.
Yep.
Ah, shit! I had a question for Tovrith. I forgot to ask. Damn it.
Is there like? Is there a description of the surrounding area to this portal in the parchment?
Yeah. There's okay. It's not exactly a portal. It's more of a thin place. But
is there a description of it? This thin place.
Yeah,
It's like the
there's like a
upside
specific
down,
description of
but-
how to find it, and even an indication that under like certain weather conditions or certain times of year, it might even just naturally open. Like it might naturally connect. It wouldn't necessarily be a portal. It would actually just be like you could literally walk into the plane of elemental air if you were there at the right time and place.
So would it be at all familiar to this little to the Bangle place?
Would it be at all? There's certainly certain characteristics that they share in common, from what you can tell, but it'd be hard to say without actually going there.
See, now I want to go there to see if KC did this on purpose and that planned out.
I will admit that sometimes I plan things and sometimes I just notice connections and decide that's how it is. And I'm not going to tell you which one this is.
It's fine. I'll just assume you planned it all out.
All right.
Take the praise, KC. Take it.
Fowlin, if you want to just quickly, not in character, say what you wanted to ask Tovrith, I'd allow that you had enough time and we can just quickly insert if you learned anything.
Yeah, I wanted to ask if he knew a way around having the ill effects of the vestiges upon us,
Okay.
like when we used them.
Yeah, interesting.
Good question. I like that's a good question, Fowlin.
Here. All right. He would tell you that he does not.
Man, damn it, Dragon. So useless.
I did give you a roll for that, but the roll was a 4. So
He's that dragon just
4
looking
is
for tree
modified.
fitty.
It was like he rolled an 8. He rolled an 8 for that. So okay.
Tree fitty.
All right, and Fallon, after Anya gets done giving the parchment to Kane, she walks over to you and says, "And this." She looks at you. Hopefully you remember asking for this. When you were here, you asked why a bunch of Yuan Ti would be associated with a ring dedicated to Alkadir. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, totally.
Well, I found this, and she holds out a book that proves to be a collection of stories about the Yuan Ti.
I will gladly take it.
Okay, £2 for Yuan Ti book.
Adding to inventory.
All right, and some more time passes, more just sort of light conversation about what's been going on. Actually, Anya still having mixed feelings, but largely happy that she's able to talk again. Sort of what your next move is going to be, stuff like that. Finally, Anya says, "Well, everybody, do we know where we're going from here? I think that my reason for being here has probably about passed." At this, Tiosa will say, "These folks are free to go where they like. I had planned to go to Citadel and can offer relatively rapid transport in that direction."
Yeah, so we could go to Citadel, which I guess is still a good idea. just because we were gonna, or we could follow the string, right? Is that if I've understood how that was working?
We'll follow. Well, okay. So we've added helping uh
Innis.
slightly brain damaged goddess, and
But all we know
for
is
a
that
list of
the
things.
shawl took her, right?
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like will following the string lead us any closer to that? Because if not, I think we just continue with the vestiges because that seems to bring us pretty close to these guys. And instead of trying to evade the next group.
Let's just talk about the options here.
Yeah, I mean, I that's what I'm.
Also,
yeah, I'm saying like if we continue with vestiges.
All right, as you guys start having this conversation, Anya sort of looks around and says, "All right, well, I can tell you need a moment to get some things sorted out. I'm gonna go get ready. So
why don't you? Yeah, okay. Yeah, is she
right
gonna
back.
come with us? Are you gonna come with us?
I was hoping to. I don't think I need to stay here any longer. I'm just gonna go gather my things."
Fallon asks if she needs help.
You could tell people you have your own castle.
And she's like, "No, I'm good. I just need to run over to the guest chamber and grab all of my stuff."
I'm sure she can get dressed by herself, Fallon.
She winks.
And Fallon grimaces at Kane.
Yep. I give you a thumbs up as she leaves.
Oh, I'm gonna cockblock the shit out of you with Thule. Any chance I get?
No.
It's happening.
But you already had your moment with Anya, man. Damn it.
What about Colleen's moment with Anya?
You sure did try with that one.
I was briefly a thing in like episode 2.
Yeah.
You tried really hard.
We need a Hot Springs scene remix, anyways.
Hot Springs episode.
I feel like I missed that.
It was Colleen X Innis, anyways.
Yeah.
Colleen be trying to Colleen flirt.
Okay, so my point is that we could follow the string, we could go to Citadel, we could try to find a way to leave Einengrun, unless that's what the string takes us to anyway. Because apparently the mirror that Aaron picked up is going to help us get back, per KC. And I don't really remember what else. Like, all the rest of the vestiges, at least the Alkadir anyway, but not the Creation Stones or the Dragon Spirits, are in Gavila. We know their locations. But we don't know about the third Creation Stone or the, was it 3 other Dragon Spirits? And I don't even know what we would do with those, right? Because they're in people, right? So if we gathered Halael's character back and then his girlfriend, his mangled girlfriend,
I forgot about it.
You have to hang out with us, or we're treating you as an object, and we're going to carry you to the top of the peak.
How much of this are you talking about out loud? Like, I know you're kind of talking about the character, but is this? Are you also saying the same character?
No, I'm not. Sorry, I'm just trying to reason it out with the group.
Well, if you're doing it with the group, then you have to say it in character.
Well, I didn't mean it like that.
Well,
I can't reason it out with the other people, not the characters.
You can't just pure metagame, man.
I'm not trying to pure metagame, I guess. Alright, fine. I'll start talking in character.
Alright, do you say things along the line, like, do you start reasoning through stuff along the lines of what you just said? Like, are you...
Yeah, but I guess technically I don't know about Aaron's red thread, right?
Well, and so the reason specifically that I care that you're talking about this out loud is
who's all listening.
Aaron, when Fallon mentions the idea of, like, not knowing what to do if you come across, like, people who have dragon spirits in them, you have a feeling, but it's a strong feeling, that there's...
What's her name, a dragon spirit?
That there's something that you would do in that situation. You're not quite sure what, but you think that you could take care of that issue somehow.
I don't know, Fallon, I think it seems like Indus is definitely a priority. We have no real leads except for the Alkadir guys. So if we continue looking for the messages, then we're bound to run into some Alkadir guys again. We could try and capture them like the last guys and do some good old-fashioned sharp interrogation to try and figure out where Innes might be. So while doing one thing, we could potentially earn leads for another thing.
The interrogation on the other two didn't go so well, if you recall.
You guys didn't let me do it, damn it.
Tirsa actually speaks up at this moment. She says, "Would you mind if I offered a suggestion?"
Go ahead.
My understanding from the story that you told me is that these Ashal might be onto you in some way. If I were you, I would tread carefully. If they have as many resources as I think they might be able to bring bigger guns to bear in terms of magical tracking and whatnot. I have an idea that might not only help attend to our demon army situation, but also draw them out in a way that could be advantageous. I need to set it up to make sure, but I think that if you came with me to Citadel, we could not only do something about this demon problem, but also make some progress with the Ashal. And what's more, if you help with the demon army, then you might be able to get some help from the king as well. And the government generally.
What sort of help?
Well, you're discussing perhaps wanting to leave Einangrun. Do you have a ship? Do you have sailors?
We had one. Well, I guess 3/4 of one.
I don't know. Yeah. He hit one of his arms, you know. You remember.
Would you want perhaps any resources to help avoid magical tracking? Would you want
That would be a good one. The no magical tracking thing.
anything
Yeah.
your heart's desire that might help you accomplish your aim against what appears to be a group of rather resourceful individuals, albeit ones who probably have not exerted their full strength to this point?
I think the no magical tracking should be a top one.
Yeah,
Since
I
I'm-
mean,
Yeah.
how much time does Innes have?
If she is imprisoned, then, well, a delay can't help anything. At the same time, she is still a goddess. I don't know quite what they expect to get out of her against her will.
They are.
You haven't seen what we've seen.
She shrugs and says, I doubt that Innes is truly imprisoned in a metaphysical sense. They've imprisoned her avatar, limited her ability to interact with the world. I doubt they can truly kill her.
I mean, I saw a big tentacle man in a cloak do a pretty good job.
Well, I obviously wasn't there for that.
He was a very big tentacle man. I hate tentacles. Why are there so many tentacles in the world?
All that I'm saying is, it sounds like you're between ideas, and I'm happy to offer one, but it's your decision.
Kane just gets 1,000-yard stairs. He starts just muttering about tentacles.
Oh, Fallon says, well, we gotta start somewhere. I'm fine with it. And I look at the group.
I think them not knowing where we are or not being able to find us is a good thing. We'd be able to have the element of surprise if you ever do get any information. And possibly be able to get information on them because of it.
At this moment, the doors open up again. Anya walks back in, much more sort of composed and confident looking than you've seen her this entire time. She's once again dressed in her plate armor, which most of you would know and Ernan might recognize to... or actually, Ernan, give me nature, actually.
Nature?
Yep.
That would be a 3.
Okay. Yeah, so she's dressed in polished plate. She has a helmet on, but the visor's open. She's carrying a pack. Aaron, you do notice that she's walking surprisingly gracefully for somebody in plate armor, but that's all that you notice. And she says, "Well, did we get things sorted out, or do we still need a moment?" She grabs a roll off the table.
I mean, did anybody else in the party have any dissenting comments on the plan to go to Citadel first?
Colleen likes information. Citadel has lots of it, apparently.
Input. Sorry, I just watched Short Circuit too. Okay, so we're gonna pretend Max is an agreement. Aaron did.
Max is in a harem. He's good.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
So y'all sort of mention you're all going to Citadel. And she says, "All right. Where do we?" And Tirsa says, "We can leave from here, actually." Oh, I just realized Colleen's had a skeleton with her this entire time. Whatever.
Yeah.
I'll
But
just.
combat hasn't appeared, so I wasn't worried about it.
Everyone's pretty much used to it by now. Like,
Yeah,
it's just
that's pretty
clean
good.
stuff.
So that being said, Tirsa sort of looks around, and she frowns and says, "Actually, there's a bit of a problem." She starts counting around the group.
Oh no.
Wait, what's happening?
You can only take 8 people or 8 things.
You can take 8 besides yourself with a teleport spell.
So we're just gonna leave the skeleton with Tavrith, and he's just gonna be like, "The fuck is this?"
So she counts you all off one by one. Colleen, she pauses on you and says, "And I honestly am not sure if... What did you say his name was?
Fabrizio?
I am honestly not sure if Fabrizio counts for purposes of this. I presume he does, actually."
Can Fallon just say, "Sorry, Kane, I think Thule has to stay"?
I feel like Thule would be more useful than a baby Koodle.
Whoa.
And Fallon winked at Thule when he said that as he's just messing with Kane.
Kane is flustered there.
Alright, so Tirsa is going to go into thinking mode.
Leave anything behind, we'll leave him behind.
KC is going to go into thinking mode.
Koodle thing.
Just go back into the backpack, pretend it doesn't exist.
Do we have the bag of holding that you could put it in?
There's no air in the back of holding.
Actually, Tirsa thinks for a moment. It's not a bad idea. Do you still have that bag I gave you?
So I had it, and then remember, Halil took the scepter from me, and I never gave him the bag, but then we had the discussion later that he acquired it just because it made more sense,
right.
And so I
actually,
relented on that point.
Colleen
so that would mean that Colleen would have it.
I don't have it in my notes, but...
go ahead and add it.
Kane has it.
Because I know that Halil and Alistair don't have it, and you didn't lose it.
So no, Halil had it because he took the scepter from me, and so if
I have the scepter because I have Halil's stuff.
Right.
Yeah, so he would have acquired it through that way.
Yep. So you have, it's called a bag of hiding. Since you modified it, it's essentially a mini bag of holding. I forget how much I said it held. It's like 20 or 40 pounds, something like that. It's
now I can hold all of my stuff.
But it's probably big enough to hold a baby quaddle. And Tirsa says, "All right, so yes, the bag of holding doesn't have air in it, but teleportation only takes a few seconds, and can just go in and then immediately take him out, and that should get around the restriction, actually.
Is the skeleton thing gonna stay here, or did it come with us last time?
Okay.
Or it must have been able to.
So Tirsa can teleport 9 people. You've added 2 to your group. You had 9 before. You've now added 2 with Anya and
the
Fabrizio.
Quaddle.
So if you go with the put Fabrizio in the bag plan, that gets you to 10.
What if I become a
Colleen,
cloud?
how visibly disappointed are you by the idea of leaving? Okay, by the
Extremely.
All right. So
what if I become a cloud, Tirsa?
So Tirsa looks at you and says, "I can't believe I'm about to suggest this. I have an idea for your skeleton, Colleen. I won't be able to get it back to you until tomorrow, but I can make sure that I'm able to."
Wait, are we deciding between is the 10th her skeleton?
Is what?
Is the 10th thing her skeleton?
Don't talk about him like that.
Just leave skeleton. What?
Hold
You'll
on
find
just a
another
second.
You always do.
I've never abandoned my creatures.
You hear Tirsa sort of humming softly under her breath. Then she reaches around and takes her hand up in the air and sort of slashes it down through the air. And you see sort of a tear appear in the air. And then that sort of burns outward to form a doorway, which she then opens up. It sort of looks like just like a wooden door, which she opens up, and beyond it there is a rather nondescript looking room. And she says, "If you put it in here, I can return it to you tomorrow."
Well, I'm sold.
Do you wanna reassert control now so that it'll last hopefully until she returns it? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So everybody will sort of wait and talk a little more and stuff like that while Colleen is refreshing her control of skeleton. And then after that gets done, you sort of usher it inside. You bid it a tearful farewell, hugs and kisses, and Anyways, and then Tirsa closes the door and says, "All good?" All right. And she sort of waves her hand in the air, and the door disappears.
Stupid tentacles and dead things.
Says, "All right, well, that's taken care of. So we'll want to do this quickly if we're relying on the bag. So everybody gather round, join hands and paws. Colleen, if you could attend to things with your friend, and just let us know when we're good to go, and I'll cast it right away."
I'm sorry, Fabrizio. Don't just hold your breath.
Animal handling.
Everything will be okay.
Okay.
That's not bad.
Yeah. He sort of makes a chittering sound and allows you to sort of guide him into the bag, and you watch as he disappears from view.
Pretend you're a liquid.
All right, I imagine at that point you probably signal good to go.
Yeah.
All right, so you all join hands, and You feel the slight twist, see the blurring of colors, and the room disappears. And you appear inside a clean, professional-looking room inside a stone building. A surprised-looking, slightly overweight blonde man is holding a clipboard and looks at you a bit dumbfounded. Tirsa produces a few platinum coins and deposits them in the man's hand. Believe it or not, I actually know how much money Tirsa is carrying, so allow me to deduct that. Oops.
What is this background noise?
Medieval Town, it's called.
Oh, I thought I heard like pirates, so I was confused.
Oh.
Pirates?
You should
Like
not
what?
Should not be hearing pirates.
Or like sailors or something. I don't know. It was weird. I thought it was like ocean stuff. I was like, why are we in the ocean?
Yeah, however, I am going to reduce the volume. There we go. So Tirsa looks at the man and says, "Unscheduled arrival. I know. I'm sure you can overlook this and let us go." The man sort of struggles for a moment, maybe wondering if this is okay, maybe wondering if he should press for more. Then seems to break. He walks to the door behind him and opens it. Right this way, ma'am. Exit is down the hall and to the left. Yes, thank you. Everyone, after me. You all walk down a stone hallway, take a turn, walk out a door. You finally exit onto the street under a sign that says Rapid Travel Services, instant delivery to all major locales in Einangrun. Anyone who wants can make an insight check.
Fucking kidding me.
Hey, double crits, Fallon. Good job.
Okay. Believe it or not, 24 isn't high enough. But I was curious if anybody would crit. Alright. So Tirsa turns around and says, "Well, here you are. Understanding that you all may have your... Well, she says, I've got something in mind, but it's going to take a few days to set it up. So, if you're all okay with it, I imagine you can think of ways to spend a few days in Citadel. I'm sure I'll be able to find you. But if you need a good place to stay, I might recommend the Winking Giant Inn. Silly name, but it's just up that way on the right, and it's a fine place. Anyways, I'm going to get working on my thing. In the meantime, just stay in town, and everything should be fine. Anyways, Maxis. I wanted to mention to you, I haven't forgotten that bag that you asked me for. I'll have that delivered as soon as I can manage. So, if everything's in order, I'll be off.
I release Fabrizio from the bag.
He takes a deep breath and looks up at you gratefully.
Hopefully that never happens again.
Alrighty then, I'm off. And Tully says, well, I guess that means I'm off as well. Good seeing you again, and good meeting you two, she says to Aaronin and Maxis.
Nice to meet you too.
Kate, I'll see you around. And she gives you a kiss on the cheek and sort of...
yeah, sure.
And trots away after Tirsa. Did you want to say something?
No, Kane's stuttering.
Oh, okay. Got it.
That's what I was trying to convey. He's going to continue stuttering for like the next 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay, cool. Alright. So, and actually, it's about time, so that is probably a good place to leave off shortly. But, just so you have some idea what's going on, this is Citadel.
Okay, there we go. It was like super blurred for a second there. I was like, what is this, Casey?
Yeah, sometimes it just takes a while
But
to render.
it cleared up.
So,
It was just like a bunch of lines. I was like, what?
yeah. So Citadel is one of the most populous cities, actually maybe the most well-populated city in Einon Grün. It's got about 115,000 people who live there. All of this is information that you would either know or would be able to learn relatively quickly. So I'll give you a brief rundown of the place. It's sort of divided into 3 districts, and it's all built around sort of a large rock. So think like Ayers Rock, just sort of a large stone that's just sitting in the middle of what's otherwise a plain. This top area here is actually, it's a slightly bizarre formation, but the rock has sort of a big gap carved out of it, and the city is built back into that in this part right here. And then the rest of the city is built out around it. So the oldest part of the city is these 2 sections right here. It's all walled off, and it's built around a spring that runs down from the rock and finally collects in this sort of medium-sized lake or oasis at the center of town. So this top area is Capitol Hill. It's the richest part of town. You can see some of the things that are there, but the government, the military headquarters, a university, rich housing, like arts centers, business district. No, that is not where you are. But that is sort of what this section of the town is. At the top here is actually a proper castle, and that is where the king lives. Now, the government is sort of split in Citadel. There's sort of shared responsibilities between a king and a parliament. This middle part of the city is also an old part of the city. It's called Union Square. It's separated from Capitol Hill by a fairly large wall, and access between the two is fairly strictly controlled. This part of the city kind of has a little bit of everything, and people gather here, among other reasons, just for making use of water from the spring. Although there's also sort of a public works system that pipes things out. So yeah, so like I said, this has sort of a medium-sized wall around it, and has just a lot of stuff going on. And it's also pretty densely populated, about 80,000 people in this area. That's about 4 miles square. This outer part of the town is called the outskirts. It's surrounded by a relatively low wall that mostly just aids in keeping out wildlife. That's about it. It's just scattered neighborhoods, farms, ranches, that kind of thing. It's old agricultural territory that was built up around the city. So you, at present, are probably about here. Let me just go ahead and mark that. Boom. Just sort of outside of this little center that Tears left you at. And so, with this sort of, very quick transport to the city, Tirsa and Toli have taken off, and you all look around at each other and try to figure out your next move. And I probably shouldn't have ended it with a giant info dump, but that's exactly what I'm going to do, unless anybody has anything quick to end the session with.
Don't worry, we'll ask all this stuff again next week.
Perfect.
I want to go to the Temple of Meros.
You what?
I want to go to the Temple of Meros.
I'm going to the university.
I was gonna send Tuli a quick sending, but I can do that at the beginning next session. It doesn't matter.
I'm just
okay. Whatever you want to do. So yeah, there's quite a bit you can do here. So
Yeah.
let your imagination
Got
run
plenty
wild.
of ideas. I'll need to write down.
All right. So that is where we'll end it. Thank you, everyone. And yes, Temple of Sexy Time Hype. Peace out, yo.